Tonight on KOTA Territory News at 5:30, Meade County residents share their concerns over plans for a private airstrip. Plus, the Pennington County Board of Commissioners considers if there's a need to invest in a new water source. And we'll introduce you to a list of potential GOP candidates and their ranking in the South Dakota governor's race. Your news starts now.
From Skyline Drive, this is KOTA Territory News at 5:30.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jack Cottle. A recent poll has found Governor Larry Roden and Representative Dusty Johnson as the favorites among Republicans to be South Dakota's next governor. KOTA Territory's Blake Trolley has the story.
The statewide survey, co-sponsored by South Dakota News Watch and the University of South Dakota, found Johnson ahead at 28% and Roden just behind at 27%. While neither of the two have announced their campaign, South Dakota News Watch reporter Stu Whitney says he expects both to. Whitney says he thinks Republican voters have questions about both potential candidates.
We've seen a shift toward more populism, some of this property rights stuff, the party in South Dakota moving more to the right. Dusty Johnson, that's been a vulnerability of his, whether he can sort of secure those voters. Do they trust him?
As for Governor Roden,
you know, a lot of voters are unfamiliar with him and his political beliefs. You know, so I think if there's questions about Larry Roden, it's like, what does this guy stand for?
the poll had South Dakota Attorney General Marty Jackley in third at 18%. Jackley weighed in with me Monday on the upcoming race.
Can you just walk us through your decision-making process right now when you're weighing this decision, whether or not you want to run for governor or not?
You know, it starts with prayer. It goes on to family, and then it goes to the community that raised you. In fact, tonight I'll be here in Rapid City, and I'll be listening and asking what they're looking for in a governor, what they're looking for in a candidate. And so I'm at that stage where I'm taking that public input into consideration.
The poll, which was carried out last month, had Aberdeen businessman Toby Doden at 4% and State House Speaker John Hanson at 2%. Blake Trolley, KOTA Territory News.
Meteorologist Ryan Hill is tracking isolated showers and a warm-up. He joins us live in the studio with the details. Ryan, kind of a cool one out there today.
Yeah, and we're kind of adding some clouds to that picture too, so obviously that kind of stunts the growth of our temperatures. As we look out there live right now, you can see that really thickening as we even develop a little bit of moisture in Custer County headed into Crook County in northeast Wyoming. That looks like it could even be an isolated thunder shower. It looks like that's going to be the story as we move our way into tomorrow. We've got plenty of rain in the last 24 hours, and our hope is we can add on to that. We have nearly half an inch in Custer, but some areas like Faith have received 3/4 of an inch. A little bit more headed into Crook County overnight, as you can see with that isolated stuff. But tonight, definitely a carbon copy temperature-wise compared to last night, but we're changing things around. We're getting a little bit warmer, as well as throwing in that storm chances. We'll track how warm and how much more storms we're looking at in my full forecast. Jack?
Water is one of the most important resources our planet has to offer, but with an influx of people moving into the Black Hills and even more expected in the coming years, that resource is stretched further. The Western Dakota Water Development District, in partnership with South Dakota Mines, previously conducted a study which concluded that Pennington County has been in a drought since September of 2024. Western Dakota Regional Water System Executive Director Kristen Conzett told the Pennington County Board of Commissioners the time to act on creating a new water source is now, as population levels are expected to increase nearly 19% this decade. She asked the board for $50,000 in funding for 2026 to continue supporting water efforts in the county.
We know that this rate is going to be growing in Pennington County, more than double in certain portions. And that's not even to mention the expected growth with the Ellsworth expansion that is the federal government is investing in Pennington County. There is a definite need that Western Dakota Regional Water System has been addressing since late 2021.
Commission Vice Chair Deb Hadcock expressed her support for a potential pipeline bringing water from the Missouri River to the Black Hills.
I said it was a no-brainer. Why that is because water is infrastructure, and people know from the beginning that I've been into infrastructure, and I think it's vital for any city or county to survive. If we don't have enough water, think about what that means to our state, our county, and our cities.
The Board of Commissioners voted unanimously to support the Western Dakota Regional Water System, granting $50,000 for the 2026 fiscal year. A proposed Meade County housing development with its own private airstrip is drawing criticism from neighbors who say it threatens the rural way of life. KOTA Territory Zeta Jones has the story.
There is a proposed 51-lot housing development in Meade County that includes plans for a private airstrip on the southwest corner of Elk Creek Road and Haynes Avenue.
We moved out here without any of this, and now here we are, and it was kept very quiet.
The project, proposed by Infinity Properties LLC and approved as a preliminary plat by the Meade County Commission in March, has drawn criticism by nearby landowners who worry the development will disrupt them and raise noise, safety, and environmental concerns. Many are upset with the alleged unauthorized improvements that the development company has made along the section line. Michelle Marshall is a Meade County resident who often rides her horse along the section line where the airstrip is planned.
As you can see, this section line is obstructed. The runway was built directly across the section line, and you couldn't drive a vehicle across it right now if you tried. I rode my horse across it right after it had rained, and it was pretty scary. I just about didn't get across. So it's definitely illegal. So that poses one problem.
Craig Baumiller, the project's developer, was out of town, but his father spoke on his behalf.
I think we've done everything the county's asked us to do. I don't believe the county has any issues with it. And all we're asking you to do is facilitate maybe some progress for local people, for businesses. This could be a very good thing for Meade County with the tax base, population, housing, everything. They're worried about this and worried about that. Well, it does not affect a small airfield.
Both sides are urging Meade County residents to attend the Meade County Commissioners meeting on May 13th at 9 a.m. to voice opinions and ask their questions. Reporting in Meade County, I'm Zeta Jones.
And coming up, a Northern Hills teacher is nominated for South Dakota Teacher of the Year. She shares why she became a teacher and the impact she has on her students. That story is after the break. It's Teacher Appreciation Week in South Dakota, and to celebrate, the Department of Education announced 5 educators who've been selected for Regional Teachers of the Year. KOTA Territory's Hannah Hutter sat in on a 5th grade science class and spoke with a Belle-Fourche teacher who could be named South Dakota Teacher of the Year.
Ann Anderson grew up in a family of educators.
My mom taught for 40 years and my dad for 39, and my grandma was a teacher and principal, and my uncle's a superintendent. My sister's a teacher.
So for her, it just made sense to give it a try. She's now in her 26th year as a 5th grade teacher. The last 19 of those years have been spent at Belle-Fourche Middle School teaching science.
I mean, I've taught social studies here too. I will next year. And then we started the science of reading this year, so I've been teaching a small group at the end of the school day, which is kind of fun. I haven't done phonics in forever, so it's good.
Anderson says she makes sure to have fun in the classroom to help the children have fun too. She's one of 5 South Dakota teachers who are in the running for the South Dakota Teacher of the Year. She says it was a great feeling to be nominated.
Kids came up and gave me hugs and stuff, and it was awesome. I don't know, it's fun to see them excited for you.
Anderson says her mantra as a teacher is every minute, every child, every day.
You know, you want to focus on, you want to make sure that you talk to every kid every day and check on them and make sure that they're, getting something.
She says there have been so many teachers who have had a positive impact on her life. Her advice to fellow teachers, new and seasoned, was simple.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just there's a lot of things that aren't worth it. And I think about these students, I know them here and I know them for an hour a day, which is awesome. And so a lot of times I just try to focus on them here and to make the classroom the best experience possible for them.
In Belle-Fourche, Hannah Hutter, KOTA Territory News.
Jennifer Anders, a high school math teacher in the Hardin County School District, was also selected as a Regional Teacher of the Year. Meteorologist Ryan Hill is tracking a warm-up as well as some breezy weather and storms. The details are next in your accurate First Alert forecast.
Now, the First Alert forecast with meteorologist Ryan Hill.
Quite a murky gray look at our Golden West Tower cam on Skyline Drive as we continue to track the little old boundary that could, a boundary between air masses over the Western South Dakota, and you got South Dakota right here, and here's Wyoming. You got yourself 30s right there, while we got 60s and 70s even right now. Our high in downtown Rapid City was 60 degrees, but I got to tell you, much different story of it shared in Buffalo. We have some isolated showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder just crossing the state line into Crook County, and that's kind of where we're going to be tracking over the next few hours. But we do still have a tap of moisture down south into the panhandle of Nebraska. We're talking about south of Niobrara County right there, even some thunderstorms right there. We're trying to pull up some of that instability and moisture into our area, and that's what we're looking at tomorrow. But tonight seems to be very much a carbon copy of what we saw last night, with temperatures in the 30s in northeast Wyoming and 40s in western South Dakota, as we still lock in some warmer, drier air, and that's why we kind of tumbled a little bit more. Drier tends to cool off a little easier. But yeah, we're talking about a shift in the winds, easterly winds, maybe funneling in more moisture as we still have that boundary set up, so that converging wind right over the hills, talking about Deadwood into Spearfish, you could see a storm develop, and that's where we're kind of concentrating on a little bit of instability that just comes and goes. And that's just it for what we've got tomorrow. We've got to wait until Thursday until we see better instability rolling over Billings and Miles City through early Thursday before it starts moving into our area. We're talking about a cold front that could spark some showers and thunderstorms for more of KOTA territory than just this little activity right here, as this boundary just sorts of dies off. There's that isolated activity around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, so I would caution against hiking in the hills on your Wednesday around that time. But Thursday is looking absolutely sensational. Look at that 76, well above normal for this time of year, and then we're making our way towards the 80s for the weekend, so I would definitely hydrate and as well as prepare for the sun. Meanwhile, it's going to be breezy on the trail. That's going to be one of the hazards you're going to run into as we run into that Thursday. Friday, the front passes through thunderstorms, so watch out for those. But then Monday, here comes the warm air, and by some pretty strong winds as well, 35-mile-an-hour gusts as we move into Sunday, as this ridge of high pressure really sits over our area into the beginning of next week. And folks, I've got to tell you, we could be looking at some record temperatures. Nearly at least, we're going to continue to watch the data and see whether or not we hit that 91 set in 1940, but more moisture is on the way, folks, as well as some heat, at least to start the week, as a trough of low pressure swings through the area. So keep an eye on those rain chances. We could still water those plants, just like Jack and I were talking about yesterday. Otherwise, we've got that warm weather set up throughout KOTA territory as we end this week and head into Mother's Day. 90 for your Sunday. Absolutely incredible. It's like July.
It's great because we're getting a short season now is what it comes down to.
Broke them out already this past Sunday for a hike around the hills just here on Skyline Drive. We have some phenomenal trails. That's one of the places I would recommend checking out.
All right, got to get outside.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. Thank you very much, Ryan. Well, coming up, we have some Chadron State College basketball news to tell you about this evening. Plus, we check in with the St. Thomas More girls golfers as they're delivering another impressive season. Vic Quick has all that and more next in KOTA Sports.
Hello, everybody. The Post 22 and Post 320 baseball teams are set to renew their rivalry this evening. The Hardhats enter the game with a perfect 6-0 record, while the Stars check in with a 3-1 mark. First pitch is at 7 o'clock out of Peatline Field, and I'll have highlights for you tonight at 9 and 10. The St. Thomas More girls golf team is turning in another impressive season. The Cavaliers finished first as a team at last week's Sturgis Invite. They are led by a pair of individual state champions in Rylan Horning and Caitlin Strain. STM is focused on winning a team state title and should be on the short list of contenders. The Cavs return to action Thursday when they play at the Hot Springs Invite. They should see some pretty good competition at that tourney, and head coach Brandon Candlin is pleased with the way his team is playing.
I'm excited at what we've done so far this year. You know, I think that having two back that have won a state championship is a certain you know, confidence that it brings to the rest of the girls, but at the same time, there's 2 or 3 others that have been to state before. We've got girls that can advance the ball pretty well, and I'm impressed with the yardage that some of these young ladies can hit, but certainly around the greens, trying to be able to minimize any bad decisions around the green, and put yourself in a good position to try to get up and down and save the strokes there.
Now we do have some games in the world of high school baseball as well this evening as Spearfish hosts Rapid City Central. The Spartans enter the matchup with a 5-8 record while the Cobblers check in with a 7-12 mark. First pitch is slated for 7 o'clock tonight out in Spearfish. One high school baseball game is already in the books today as Meade County won a tight one over Hot Springs 8-7. The Warriors got off to a good start as they held a 6-run lead after 2 innings. The Bison made it close, but the Warriors were able to hold on to get the win. And other high school baseball action tonight, St. Thomas More hosts Bellefouche. The Bronx enter the matchup with a 6-6 record while the Cavs are 3-3. First pitch is at 7 o'clock out at McKeek Field. Travis Brewster has stepped down as head coach of the Chadron State women's basketball team. Brewster spent the past 2 years as the head coach of the Eagles. Chadron State finished both the Brewster seasons with identical 6-20 records. Now, there were some bright spots as this year's team set the program record for highest free throw percentage in a season at 78%. The Eagles also knocked down 165 three-pointers, the most for the team since 2010. Now, Brewster does have some Division I coaching experience as he spent 8 years as the head coach at the University of North Dakota before joining the Eagles. And I had a chance to chat with Coach Brewster for a story this season, Jack. An interesting guy, very thoughtful guy. Certainly wish him the best as he's leaving Chadron State.
All right, sounds good. Good night for local Twins fans here in the area.
That's right, Tuesday night baseball for you tonight over on Fox. The Twins in action taking on the Orioles. Pablo Lopez on the mound tonight for the Twins. So once we're done with the news, flip it over to Fox. You can watch the Twins and the Orioles.
And big night for Jokic and the Nuggets last night.
That's right, Nuggets in the second round of the playoffs taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder, top-seeded Thunder. But the Nuggets got the big win last night, 121-119. Aaron Gordon hit a three-pointer at the buzzer. T-Wolves taking on the Warriors in game 1 of their series coming up tonight.
All right, thank you very much, Vic. Coming up, you don't have to travel far to enjoy a summer vacation. Tourism experts will share what to expect after the break. With tourism season approaching, the Black Hills and Badlands Tourism Association held their annual Parks and Attractions meeting today at the monument. KOTA Territory's Brian Savage spoke to the organization and area chamber professionals to learn more about new developments and attractions they have for the upcoming season.
Tuesday, members of the Black Hills and Badlands Tourism Association, area community and park officials gathered to provide updates and go over what's ahead for this summer.
We want the entire industry to know what's going on in the area so we can help our visitors out and cross-sell all of the different activities in the area.
Community officials from Meade Hill City and other towns gave an update on new attractions and businesses travelers can experience there this summer.
For the 4th of July, actually it'll be on the 3rd of July, we've added the Gold Rush Cruising Classics Car Show. And so we'll have 50 85 and older antique cars coming in and doing a car show.
We have the Prairie Dog Tap Room, which is a self-serve beer and wine tap. The other is With the Wind Winery. They have a tasting room that is now open on Main Street.
Thompson says there are concerns over an economic recession. However, all indicators are showing it will be a good summer tourism season for the Black Hills.
So far, looking at our occupancy, it's looking very strong compared to last year's.
Thompson adds it's a nice perk for the Black Hills area to be an affordable travel destination.
We tend to do really well when maybe the rest of the country isn't doing as well. So if visitors do tend to be a little bit leery to travel too far because of economics, we're an affordable destination and visitors still come to the Black Hills and Badlands.
Thompson says the tourism industry wants to ensure visitors are still going to high-impact attractions such as Mount Rushmore. However, they also want them to go to lesser-known attractions.
Might be a small museum in one of our local communities or an attraction that maybe isn't as well known as some of the others.
In Rapid City, Brian Savage, KOTA Territory News.
And it looks like we've got good weather coming up if you want to start getting into the outdoorsy kind of thing.
Travel around some of those scenes, shall we? I mean, hike the hills, perhaps, get up to Sturgis, grab a bite to eat at Gas Monkey Garage or something.
Okay.
Definitely warming it up to the 70s, mid-70s for us, and then 80s for the weekend. But we are watching for some isolated storms in the hills again on Friday as a cold front makes its way through. But the next storm chances are next week, probably better towards Wednesday and Thursday. But an isolated storm could pop up on Monday.
I'm locked in on that 90 you have up there for Sunday. So
let's bring on summer. It's a little early.
Counting on it. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you tonight at 10.
Thanks for watching KOTA Territory News, your local news and weather authority.